everybody, this is Casey and thank you for coming back to my channel, Casey on Purpose. And today's video is going to be about the top 5 differences that I have noticed from living in Germany for the past 4 or 5 months and just being in Europe in general. Some of them are going to be differences specifically between Germany and the US, and then some are going to be basically just Europe in general and this side of the world compared to the States. So let's get started. The first one, and I have my notes down here because if not, I will just ramble on for hours and nobody wants to hear me talk for that long. So I have my notes. If you see me looking down, that's why. The first one is going to be food. Now, I've noticed here that people eat way more healthy and the food is way more natural. Like, for example, if you go to the grocery store, the food that you get will only last a few days and then it will rot. And like, I feel like in the United States, you can go and get food and it will last for a really long time because there's so many preservatives. There's a lot of artificial things to keep it, flavored and to keep it like lasting longer, which is obviously not good for us. So here, I think it's really cool that the food is like made more naturally, and even though sometimes it kind of sucks that you have to go to the grocery store maybe like every 2 or 3 days, I think it's obviously in the long run way better for your body. Like just for example, corn syrup, that's a big thing in the US, and it's something that's really not good for us, but here it's not even legal or allowed to be in the food. So that should just show you right there that there's a huge difference when it comes to what they want to put in their body and compared to what in the US we're able to put in our body. Okay, so, and then the next thing is like food when it comes to a restaurant. The portions I've noticed are a lot smaller. Like if you go somewhere to eat in the US, the portions are huge. You get huge cups, you get you get free refills and all of these things. And here the portions I feel like are almost half the size of what you get over there just to start. And then one thing that I thought was kind of funny is that there's no free refills anywhere, and you can't even get water for free, which is like kind of trips me out because over there you always get free water no matter where you go, and you can get free refills at least on like soda and juice and things like that. And over here it's like nothing that you drink you will ever get refills for free, and nothing is free to begin with. And I think the biggest thing is that, like I mentioned before, how the food is just processed differently and made differently, but it's crazy that you can really like taste the difference in everything, even in the meat. Like I'm a big meat eater and I just taste the difference in the meat. It tastes more clean, it tastes just like more natural. And even like with the chocolate, because I'm obsessed with chocolate, it tastes like there's actually milk and there's actually sugar. And I feel like now when I've tried US chocolate since I've been here, it tastes like wax or something. Like it tastes so waxy and like artificial. And here it actually tastes like pure chocolate. So I think I'm gonna have some problems when I go back because I'm gonna be so picky when it comes to my food. Okay, now the second topic is going to be the culture. So the culture is completely different as well. Like I've mentioned, everything is. And some points are like, okay, so I know in the US, this might not apply to everyone, but at least where I come from and like how I've been in the past is like, I'm pretty loud. Like even my friends here sometimes, they're like, oh my God, you're so loud for no reason. You can be loud. You're very open and friendly over there. Like, for example, I would always go and approach people. And like, let's say if there's a girl and I like her outfit, I'd be like, oh my God, like I love your outfit. Where did you get it? Or I love your hair, or whatever the case may be. And then we kind of start a conversation that way. And that's also happened to me too, where like people come to me and say those things. And here I feel like that's not really a thing. People are way more reserved to themselves. I mean, if they're already friends with somebody, that might be a different story. But just from what I've noticed, people don't just go up and talk to random strangers if they don't know you, or they're not just going to be smiling all in your face. That's another thing over there. Like if you walking and you kind of make eye contact with somebody across the street, you know, sometimes you like smile or you say like hi or just something, and here it's like no, like you don't, you just turn away. Like it's just kind of a difference for me, especially because I'm more of a bubbly person and I like, you know, being like open and friendly with people. So here I've kind of had to learn that that's not really something that I can do. People here are very direct. It's not like they try to sugarcoat things or make things like, oh, well, like, I'm sorry, but no, it's like they're just gonna tell you straightforward, like, I don't like this or I like this, and it's just gonna be like very direct and straight. And one of the huge things that I've noticed, which is a big difference for me, is planning. I think people here plan so much, and they plan everything out like really in advance, like weeks in advance, months in advance, even maybe a year. And over there, especially for me, I can't speak for everybody in the US, but I'm just kind of like a person who just, if I feel it, I will do it. Like, oh, I want to go to trip tomorrow, I will go. I never really plan stuff out so much. So I think it's a good thing actually, and I'm learning to do that on my own, and I think that will help me in the future with you know, with organization and planning and actually being able to be more of an adult. Healthcare. So the healthcare, this won't be such a long topic, but basically I think people know that in Europe there's universal healthcare, and I think that's really good, and I didn't really understand it so much, but basically you pay more taxes, I think, than you do like in the US. Why? I know that you do, but everybody has healthcare, everybody's covered, and you can always just go to the doctor. And like over there in the US, there's always a ridiculous copay or all of these little fees that you have to pay up front besides paying your insurance, which you only get insurance if you work full time or if you go get it yourself, which can be super expensive. And here it's a reasonable amount. It comes right out of your paycheck, and then you can just always go to any doctor for the most part without having to pay all these fees. So I think it's amazing. I've already been to the doctors a bunch of times since I've been here, gotten treatments done, like for example my iron infusions. I've gotten medication for my eczema, and the medication here is ridiculously cheaper. I have an eczema medication that over there, it was like this big, like this small, and it was $30 with a coupon, like from Walmart Pharmacy or Publix Pharmacy or something like that. And here I got the same one, this big, like, and it was €5. So I just think it's amazing how you have so much access to like cheaper healthcare, because you know you want to take care of your body, and over there sometimes it's not always possible or you can't always afford it. So that is one thing that I think is really good about here is transportation. So transportation here was like a shock for me, because I'm used to having a car, you know, I'm used to having a car and driving and everything like that. And here, so many people don't have cars. It's a lot of people still do, but it's mostly the train. There's trains, there's trams, there's buses. And I actually really like it because it's so convenient. There's always a train going somewhere, or a tram, or some type of transportation that will get you to where you need to go. And it will always, and they go everywhere. Like you know, in the city that I'm in, they have something for me to go anywhere within the city. Then if I want to go anywhere in the state or anywhere in Germany, and even to Europe, there's trains from here in Frankfurt to Amsterdam to Paris to all types of places. So I just think that the way that they have it, number one, it helps the environment because not everybody's driving a car. And two, it's nice to be able to go at any time and anything, you know, without having to drive. And I think it's also cool because this prevents, I think, a lot of drunk drivers, because usually when everybody goes out, you know, instead of like having to pay for an Uber or a taxi, and you know, because those things get expensive, everybody just takes a train. So I feel like it's really convenient also with like kids who go to school, because there is no like school buses or something. Kids who go to school can always take the train and take the tram, and it's just, I think, a really convenient thing. And I know like in the US, bigger cities like New York have it, and Chicago and stuff like that. But I think it would be actually really cool to put it in more places because, like in St. Pete slash Tampa, where I'm from, they don't really have like, there's buses, like public buses, but there's no trains or really anything like that. So I think US should take some notes when it comes to that. Quick thing with transportation. So the Autobahn, which is the freeway in Germany, there are certain parts where there is absolutely no speed limit, and it is actually really cool to drive. One time I did drive and I went like almost 200 miles per hour, and it was crazy. It was such an adrenaline rush, and I wouldn't recommend to do all the time, but it was definitely like an experience, which I think is really cool. And I actually want to make a video soon of showing me driving on the Autobahn like super fast. The last thing is just the country itself. So this is more going to be just for Germany specifically, which is number one, it's super clean. Sometimes I think Americans do say like, oh, Europe has such high taxes and things like that, but I feel like here overall they actually use the tax money like to better the state and to better the country. Like, it's very clean here. There's a lot of things that are for the public and for the people, which I feel like is worth it. Like the public transportation, for example, like that is worth it because you will always have a way to get somewhere. You don't have to worry about your car breaking down, or if you don't have insurance, or if anything happens, like you will always have the train, and it's way cheaper. I pay maybe like a little less than 200 euros a month to a train to go anywhere in this vicinity. I don't remember exactly how many miles, but it's like 4 different cities all around Frankfurt and Frankfurt itself. And over there in the US, it's like, you know, that's just somebody's car insurance or somebody's car note, not to mention the other and gas and everything else. So I just think it's really convenient. But the place, like Germany itself, is very clean. Like, it's not like you won't see trash everywhere, and you won't see I don't know, anything, like just anywhere. Like, it's just not a dirty place all the time. I think everything here coming from Florida, I've noticed everything here is small. Just because like Germany itself, the whole country, is smaller than the state of Texas. In the US, we have a lot of room. It's huge. Like, the country is huge. And here, it's like one country that's the size, smaller than the size of one of our states. So everything here I feel like is so compact. Like where you park, the streets are smaller, the apartments are smaller, just everything kind of is smaller because they need to fit more in here. So that's something that is kind of like different for me. I don't like it so much. I mean, because I like having more space and everything like that. But it is what it is. Oh, I think one thing that's cool, so I noticed this in Mexico because I also lived in Mexico before when I was younger. That's where my mom is from. There's a place called the Center, which is obviously like in the center of the city. I guess you can compare it to like a downtown maybe. But here it's like the center is where everything is. It's going to be where the mall is. It's going to be where all of the main stores are. It's going to be like anywhere where the main places like the shopping, big restaurants and things like that is most of the time, not always, but most of the time going to be in the center. And I've noticed that with even other countries. I mean, yeah, like Netherlands and stuff like that. Everything's in the center. And I feel like in Florida, at least in the US, it's not so much like that because yeah, downtown there's always a lot of things, but everywhere there's a lot of things. Like Soho, or I mean, I don't really know the example to give because it's different in every state, but I feel like things are more spread out. It's not like, oh, you always have to go to the center when you need something. And one thing that I think is cool about Germany itself is that it's very close to every other country. You can drive about 3 hours and be in France. You can drive, depending where you are in Germany, you can drive to about 2 or 3 hours and be in the Netherlands. and you can fly pretty much anywhere in Europe and be there in 5 hours or less. So I think that is one thing that's like super amazing about this country, because it's pretty central and you can get around in the EU very easily and very cheap. Sometimes they have flights that are even like 10 euros or 20 euros. So I mean, I think that's something that's amazing. Yeah, these are just some like a few differences that I've noticed. Of course, there's a lot more that are out there, but these are just a few quick things that I've noticed, and I'm sure in the future I'll make another video pointing out maybe some other things that I didn't get to mention in this video. But if you're ever thinking about moving here or visiting or just coming here in general, these are things that I want you to look at and maybe see if you agree with me. Or if you've already been here, comment down below and let me know if these are things that you agree with or that you've noticed, or maybe there's something else. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kasey on Purpose, which is Kasey on Purpose, and have a good day.